familiar with C programming. So and this is a method like public void main, void main, whatever. Finally, so what this means is public, leave that. Int means it's returning something. The method is returning an integer, and if it doesn't return anything, we write void. You are familiar with it. And sum is the name of the function, and int are the types that it accepts. So it's expecting you to supply number 1 and it's expecting you to supply number 2 of both of type integers. Now there are some functions which can accept multiple types of parameters. So say instead of int, you can also define a version of the same function that will expect a float, say whatever. That means if you want to vary the type of parameters that will be accepted, or the number of parameters that will be accepted, you can do that. Now if you have not understood this, leave this. You will, I hope, that basically just remember that spritebatch.draw can be of multiple types. It can be of 7 types. By experience, I have determined that I generally use the 6th type. You can see that in IntelliSense if you start typing. You will see that later on. So what the 6th type, what it expects is the following. So spritebatch.draw, and in parentheses I have written a lot of code. You can see that for one draw call. Now I'll explain to you what each parameter is and what it expects. You can write this down if you want, but if you can remember it, well and good. So spritebatch.draw, now the first parameter where I have defined paddle1 texture, right? Spritebatch.draw paddle1 texture. Now what this method accepts, what it wants. The first parameter is which texture to draw. What to draw basically. So this is texture 2D. It accepts an object of type texture 2D. What to draw. So I have told it in the first line. Draw paddle1 texture. Then where to draw on the screen, on which coordinates. So next is vector to position. Where to draw this object. The next line is I think it's a source rectangle, so I'll just explain in just an overview, so please ignore it if possible. I'm just telling you for the sake of completion. The next parameter, at least I almost always use it as null. So this texture is loaded. Say this texture is loaded into the main memory in texture 2D ball texture, whatever. And what this source rectangle which I have defined as null, what it expects is what part of the texture to draw. So if you want to draw just this, let's say, like, really need to learn all of this by heart. Yeah, this is rotation. So how many, now another thing, this amount is not in degrees, it is in radians. So if you want to rotate anything, you have to define its value in radians. Okay, so if you want to rotate something 360 degrees, then define 2 pi, like 6.28, whatever, 3.14. If you want to flip it upside down, right, 180 degrees. Just remember that this value is in radians and not in degrees. The next is vector 2.0. Again, I'll have to see what that is, because I always refer to IntelliSense. Okay, that is origin. Now, I just told you that when I say ball position, it means it doesn't mean this point of the ball, it means this point of the ball. So you have to, while creating a game, while beginning, you have to set yourself a convention that I am going to set all my origins to this point, or you can use the center, whatever you want. But I have always found that there is also another, what can you say, another use for this vector 2.0. If you are going to use any rotation in the game, always consider your position or whatever point as the center, because when you define the origin and if you define a rotation, what the graphics device will do is it will rotate the sprite, that means the texture, around your origin. So if I rotate the ball right now, it won't rotate like this, it will rotate like this. It will look horrible. If you want to rotate this paddle